Final part that I want us to look at is on how do we have looked at what ethical leadership is, the importance, the benefits. The final part is how do we? Is it possible for us to learn how to do it? No. But these are just mere guidelines. They are little things that sometimes we take for granted. And I believe that as we go about our day-to-day activities, if we become conscious of the fact that, oh, I think doing this can get me there, then we will be helping ourselves. So these are just general guidelines, and they are not laws that must be followed. And no, the willingness, the desire, the commitments must be there, but it is to guide us. And there are several of them. And so let's try and so I call this the toolbox, suggested toolbox. Please, let's not start questioning whether one can learn to be ethical. No, it is possible to learn to be ethical, because we all agree that today it's not all the leaders, ethical leaders in the world who were born as such. Things are acquired. We learn them. We made the effort. And so therefore, we can also learn through experience, discipline, and hard work to become ethical leaders. And so these are some of the recommendations. How do you become ethical leader? First and foremost, we need to have a clear, specific framework on which we can draw our decision making. What is framework? When you are making decisions, what guides you? What are the things that you consider before you decide to go left or right? There are some people who are fortunate in life that where they were socialized, the parents who gave birth to you because you were born and raised in a religious home, or you had something. It was a guide. So before you realized and you grew up, you had several of these in you. And so it's very easy to exhibit them because it's part of you. But there are others, we all know that, who were not this fortunate. And so they were raised by people in different environments where ethical issues were not necessarily important, but we need to construct a framework. How will you want people to see you? Let's make the effort. Whenever you want to make decisions, what are the factors you are going to consider? Fairness, productivity, negative consequences on others, or you always make sure that you do things that if people should find out, they will all clap and pray for you. So it is important for us to understand that to be able to come out with ethical decisions and ethical behavior, we need something that we will draw from. It's important. Again, if you're trying to come out with such a framework, it must not be in isolation. It must conform to the vision, the mission, and whatever the organization aspires to achieve. What is the organization trying to achieve? So you don't decide to have a guideline, a basis of making decisions that contradicts the reason why the organization was established. So first and foremost, the goal of the organization must be taken into consideration, and the specific objectives of the organization must also be taken into consideration, so that whatever you'll be doing will be consistent. That is the second one. Yes, both the ethics of an organization and that of every member of it must be discussed. It shouldn't be secret, a confidential thing. No. What is the expected behavior in this organization? It must be open. When people behave and it is appropriate, it must be discussed. If it is not appropriate, it must be discussed. So we all know this is where we are going, and it becomes so clear that even when people are going against it, they themselves will realize that, no, I think I have to correct myself, and people will do the right thing. Ethics should be out in the open. Yes, and that relates to the point number 3. And so everything is not just about talking about it, it must be about walking it. It must be about demonstrating it. And so it doesn't matter. Let's not ignore it, that, oh, only today, only tomorrow. No, we need to live by it. Ethical thoughts must be connected to action. That's what I explained. And if we fail, we need to draw the attention. I'm talking about colleagues, subordinates, and superiors, so that we do the right thing in future. Another critical thing is ethical leadership. About ethical leadership is that it is a shared thing. Otherwise, you cease to be an ethical leader. Allow people to have the opportunity to exhibit it. Not that you are the only one, you go and teach and you expect people to let them do it. Give people opportunity. Sometimes it is only by exercising a particular rule that they will be able to demonstrate it. Why not offer people opportunity? And so it is important that put the good of the organization and the general first, public. The general public and then the organization's interest must be your priority. The individual interest must always be subordinated. It must be the second after the organizational and then the societal interest. If you do this, what it means is that whenever we are going to take decision, whenever we have the opportunity to act, the first question will be, what will be the implication on the organization, on the people I'm serving, on the larger society, on my country? And if I'm able to answer positively, then whatever implications it will have on my life becomes secondary. We don't decide on the implications on my life and expect that it will also benefit society. That would be wrong. It is important to encourage the discussion of ethics in general and the ethical choices involved in specific situations as part of organizational culture. So here, this is how we do our things. Here, this is how we do our things. Here, we all share, we discuss it. And so even when people come and they lack some of these things, because it's culture, everyone is doing it, everyone is talking about it, gradually it becomes the culture of that individual as well. We need to institutionalize how people are allowed to question the authority of the leader. There are some leaders that you can't question. Sometimes they are the ones making the mistakes. They are the ones who are causing the wrong. They are the ones who are hurting the subordinates. They will still ask the subordinate to go and write a letter of apology. Why? Because they are leaders. They are small gods. They are lords. No. A leader, if you want to exercise, if you want your organization to exhibit ethical standards, the leader must, first and foremost, allow people officially, it is an institutional thing, how to confront me, how to question my decisions. Because we all need to be guided. Otherwise, you think you are making the right path, but you will know that behind you is crooked. Unless there's someone following and then the person can draw your attention that, please, here, go left or go right. And so, yes, there are some leaders who are always serious every day. Even when there is something to laugh over, they won't. Very serious. Some have the mentality that if you open up and you start sharing jokes with your subordinates, they take you for granted, they won't produce. No. If you want to be an ethical leader, if you want to learn to do it, if you want your organization to all exhibit the ethical leadership qualities, please don't take yourself too seriously. Sense of humor is sometimes preferred, and people get opportunity to express themselves informally. What is the effect of your decisions and actions on others? Yes, it's important. The decision will bring in more profit. It will bring in higher productivity. What about the negative consequences on the lives of the people you are working with? Or you don't care? It's important. We must always try and analyze and understand how whatever we do, how whatever we say, how the things we decide on can impact on the lives of the others. Sometimes you don't have an option. Not that because you think it will negatively affect someone and so you are going to stop. No, you have to continue. The ethical issue that we are to discuss from the previous topic is important. You need to close down 2 of the branches. But how do you do it in such a way that the effects could be minimized and not and that so that it won't affect people too much? And so another way is to make it a policy to treat all organizational participants in the same way. Fairness. Some leaders believe that you can lie to get subordinates to do the right thing. And they do. They deceive. When they see that things are not going on well, they want higher productivity, they can tell people, work extra. At the end of the year, you get something. It's a bonus or something. Sometimes they tell you, oh, this year, things are not good. Let's take this salary. Going forward, we'll improve, we'll increase, we'll adjust. When they know themselves that that will not happen. That is deception. That is dishonesty. If you do that, what are you trying to tell the people? You yourself, you are not being ethical, even though the date has not come to demonstrate that you are unethical, but it will definitely come. And the date must not come before you become unethical. Once you have that understanding that I'm saying it for saying sake, it will never happen, then you become unethical. Treat other organizations the same way you treat other people, with fairness, honesty, and respect. There are some, when they make statements about their competitors, when they make statements about other organizations, sometimes it's very difficult to listen to. The things they say, they are so bad. They just want to destroy them. They just want to damage them. They just want to project them in a certain light that they will not be attractive. No, that is wrong. That is not ethical leadership. Even when you have a clear competitor, there are some who are always wishing and praying that their competitors fail, or they always get involved in trouble, things that can bring them down. No, you don't need to weaken your competitor to win. You just have to strengthen your weak points so that you can overcome the things that are weaknesses. And so it is very important for us to understand. Our competitors are also part of those who are helping to build the society. We need to be the first, but it doesn't mean they must go away. Communication is very critical. There are some bosses who don't talk. And when they communicate, it's very difficult for you to even understand what they are talking about. How do you communicate? What are the channels? Are you able to receive feedback from the people you communicate to? Because communication is two-way. If it's always going from top to down and very little coming back, no. There should be a way, a clearly defined, very simple, flexible way of communicating. When you do these things, unconsciously you realize that you'll be doing a lot of things right. And that is what we are talking about as ethical leadership. Collaboration. Let's learn from people. This is not in an African classroom whereby you always want to score everything and you pray that people will score nothing. No. Let's learn. They could be in the same area that you are. It could be the same source of funding that you are all applying to. Let's work together. It is very important. Sometimes the two of you can even team up and write proposal. And when the funding comes, you split it. And you are all taking, undertaking whatever you are supposed to undertake. After all, what are you trying to achieve by being a leader? It's to develop society. So if there is another person or another group that is also doing the same, why not work together? It's important. It is also important for us to become culturally and interpersonally competent. Cultural competence is very important. Do you understand the way of life of the people you are working with and the people you are serving? Or you have your own principles. You went to school and you have been taught that transformational leadership, transactional leadership, so you are there transforming. No. We must be very sensitive to the culture of the people and the society that we're serving in. Work to be inclusive. We need to be serious with our leadership responsibility, and very important, we need to be accountable. Serious. Let's take every single bit of our job very seriously. There are some people who don't care so much. They delegate and then they are all over the place doing all kinds of things. No. It is very important for us to take the job as a personal venture. It is critical. Even if there are competent assistants, colleagues who help you, as a leader, you need to. And so, as Robert Carr says, you need to be technically skillful. Technically skillful, conceptually skillful, ability to integrate everything. You must be on top. Otherwise, you cannot describe yourself as a leader. If you are leading, if you are making the way for them to follow, then you need to demonstrate responsibility. Responsibility, accountability simply means you are in a position to always provide sensible justification, logical explanation why certain things must go a certain direction and not the other direction. Failure to do this, we can't describe ourselves as ethical leaders. It is very important. It is also important to reflect from time to time, assess and examine our personal ethics, our own standards. Sometimes you are there, sometimes I do it, you reflect and realize that there were things that you were very firm about, you were very committed to, but it appears with time we are relaxing. No. If people don't tell us, it is important for us ourselves to be conscious. Let's try, do self-assessment, and in addition to the self-assessment, let's always strive. One of the qualities of leadership is to try and improve on our competencies and skills. And so we need to try to increase our levels of competency, otherwise we'll become stale, the same old stuff, and before we realize we are not doing as expected. And so it is important for us to understand that leadership is a very important and critical, especially in our part of the world, but not just important for its importance sake. It is important because it is able to transform society. If it is able to transform society, then it must be a special kind of leadership. And that is what we're referring to as ethical leadership. A leadership that is in position to not just transform economically or infrastructure-wise, but also the attitude, cultural orientation, our behavior, so that we will have both socioeconomic development and ethical progress in life. And so we have, within the last hour, been able to look at this concept of ethical leadership. So now we all understand who is ethical leader. You know your leaders all over the world, or on our continent, or in your country, or the organization. Even your subgroups, you know the leaders, whether they're ethical or not. Are they hypocrites or they are neutral? But what others are doing are important. But what about us? Where are you? Who you are? And who will you want to be in future? And so this is ethical leadership. They are so important. The qualities that we discuss are so important that once we are able to exhibit them, then we are likely to enjoy all the benefits. And we also discuss some specific little menial things that sometimes we overlook. Today we are saying that let's try and practice them, and sooner than later you will see the fruit that we are becoming ethical leadership. And so we ending with an assignment. There are 3 questions here that one of the best ways of learning, of experiencing something, is to try and work at it. And so let's try and answer all the questions as and when they are suggested to us. First, let's think of a time. It's a personal experience. A time in our past positions. It could be basic school level, it could be senior high school level, university level. It could be work experience when we needed to make a difficult decision that had ethical implications. Let's try and write the scenario down. And what were the challenges? And what did you do? Write it. What did you do? And then, with this answer, reflect on what we have discussed today and answer the question: if you are offered the opportunity to address, to relive that same experience, will you do something different or you repeat what you did? The second, try and describe your personal experience by which leadership in your organization conveyed to staff that ethics or ethical behavior is a higher priority. Have you done it? If you haven't, then you need to start. But if you've done it, let's communicate. Let's put it down and analyze it in the context of what we have done and see if it is okay or we need to improve on it. And the final one, with reference to Ghana and any African country, other African country, how will you describe the management of ethics in those countries and make recommendations? Because I'm from Ghana, if you are not familiar, you can use any other country. So try and describe the management, how ethics and ethical issues are handled, and what do you think should be done? For instance, Ghana has a policy on gifts. The president came out with a code of ethics, and it's clear that members can take gifts, but then he puts a cap. He puts a limit of 200, that you can't take more than 200. And so look at your country, pick on something and try and discuss it. And let's see. As we do this, let's try and learn from them. Thank you.